Okay. I can't even. I was telling Kate about this beforehand. I really can't get over the fact that what's his name? What a Jair said after his
What did
pick
Jair
from
say?
Tua. It was like that
Oh,
was
his breakdown.
yeah, that was like I felt like that was
Cade, what's going on there?
Kate's Kate's really enjoying fucking around with the settings right now.
I'm just messing around.
Kate's just living in his world right now. Yeah, most of your numbers already hidden, Jay.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. I mean, do you see all of
What is
it?
going on, Cade? Yeah, it shows it on my screen.
Yeah,
That's
it shows
I don't
only
care if it has my number on there. It just kind of looks, I don't know,
unprofessional.
God, that's
attractive.
crisp.
Yeah, I wonder if I can like completely hide. I don't think I can hide your phone number though.
It's all good. I think on your end you can, but on my end, no. So it's whatever.
It's already like partially blocked out per se. But let me.
Yeah, like I said, the number doesn't matter. It's just, I mean, we have like how many people watch this? One, two, ever?
Facts. Hey, the audio is working. I just double checked it. So we're already starting in a great spot.
There you go.
But I feel like, unfortunately, I know none of us want to talk about this, but let's start off the pod kind of talking about a recap for our own fantasy weeks. I'll start it off since, like, again, this is gonna be real sad. Actually, yeah, we'll take a second to just look at what Josh is doing right now.
My bad.
You're good.
I got a call from someone.
He's been in another guard right now.
Did you get Jonathan Taylor rookie card for Christmas?
No, I didn't. I didn't get any football cards for Christmas. I didn't ask for any.
Damn.
That reminds me, though. I got one in the mail.
Okay. Hell yeah. Damn.
Not a Jonathan Taylor, though. Unfortunately.
Johnny T. Why is my shit laggy as fuck? Anyhow, starting off with the fantasy recap from last week, I had 4 playoff teams, and only one of them is making it to next week. Kind of talked about this briefly before we started, but 2 of my leagues I would have won if I started Dak Prescott over Geno Smith and over Justin Fields. I thought, and I was completely wrong. So that was unfortunate. But in my last league, I should win it all. But who knows? If last week was anything of an indicator, the playoffs are quite a rocky road, to say the least. But I'll pass it on to Cade. Cade, how's your playoffs been?
Disappointing. I only won one of them in the losers bracket, so all the other ones that didn't even matter I lost. Or the ones that did matter, kind of the most I lost. But one of the losers brackets I won, and it's in our dynasty league that we have together, Austin. I was talking to actually JD, who's one of our managers for that league. He was saying how that one matters, probably placing, because you get certain points in which you place. So actually, if we win out in this week 17 here, because it's combined, the best I could finish was 7th place, and I'll win 7th. So I guess I'll take that. It's the mini victory that I have.
Yeah. What, the 4 points?
Yeah, something like that.
Better than nothing.
Yep.
Josh, you can follow that up.
Yeah. So I mean, I had 3 leagues starting out in the year, and lost one of them last week. And then the 2 that I had going this week, I lost one by like 40. And he had George Kittle, he had Justin Jefferson, and I forget exactly who else, but he went off. And then in my other league, it was pretty close. I just needed Keenan Allen to get like 3 more points last night, and I would have won, but didn't happen. And watching him step out of bounds on that touchdown just That killed me. That killed me. But yeah, I'm out.
Damn. Jay?
Let's hear it, Jason.
0-2. Money League lost by a few points, so that was pretty heartbreaking. And then the one that I care about the most, Josh is in, and we were both cocky the entire season. We both thought we were going to meet in the championship, and we both lost. We didn't even make the championship. So now I'm probably going to have to buy a 49er fan a jersey. That's going to be fun. He's going to get an Aaron Rodgers jersey.
Why would you spoil him with such a poor gift?
I mean, I don't know if I'd be spoiling him.
No, it wouldn't. It'd just be ruining his day.
He spoiled my season, so that's what he gets. Lucky he's getting a jersey.
And
I'll
then,
probably get him like McCaffrey or something.
Yeah, I was about to say, get him a Kaepernick jersey.
Yeah, the only 49er I'm okay with.
and then we'll hand it off to our guest of today, Samuel Jones. You guys unfortunately won't be able to see him today just because his background is quite lewd, to say the least.
Yeah, little not safe for work.
Yeah.
No, but my two leagues that I'm in, my teams have been like absolutely booming. I've basically been the top scorer for the past 2 weeks in both my leagues. It's just unfortunate that one of them didn't make the playoffs, but hey, the other one I'm in the championship game, so W.
Yeah, I should have been seeing you there, Sam.
Yeah.
Positive there.
But moving along, kind of recapping what happened last week. I can only think of a couple players off the top of my head. DeAndre Hopkins having fat. Jay brought it up. 1 reception on 10 targets. He had 1 reception for 4 yards.
I didn't watch that game. Was he just dropping? Was he dropping balls, or were they not catchable, or what?
That's just Trace McSorley.
No,
Trace
he just
McSorley.
couldn't get him the ball. Couldn't get him the ball.
Yeah,
That's my boom right there.
The only pass he could make was a screen pass.
Yeah.
The other person that comes to my head is Josh Jacobs. Just because I had him, he was supposed to be my lead back last week, and he put up a fat 6 points. And I was just amazed from the amount of production that whole Raiders team saw against the Steelers.
And who told you that he wasn't going to be good in the playoffs?
Oh, I mean, I wasn't expecting him to go off for 30, but I was expecting him to put up 10 points, like a top 5 running back would.
They played Pittsburgh?
Yeah, they played Pittsburgh, and the weather
That
there was
Sunday
shit.
night game? Yeah.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams was right there 2 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had him.
Or was that Saturday? That was Saturday night.
Was it Saturday night?
Yeah.
Saturday night.
Yeah, because Sunday night was Cardinals Bucks.
Yeah.
But that was an abysmal game. Who else? Jags Jets. I mean, if you had anybody playing in that game, I don't even know. T-Law, I don't even think he had a good game. But Zach Wilson couldn't complete a pass. They put in their backup to their backup. I forgot who this Stetzler or something like that.
Yeah.
That was just not a fantasy.
Zach Wilson's he's just a disaster right now. He needs to go somewhere else.
I feel like that's a good person to talk about for just a moment in time.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with Zach Wilson? Because we know that his job in New York is obviously not going to be there. What's the thoughts?
I personally think, I mean, we saw him at the combine and we saw him at his pro day. He's got crazy talent. And I think the thing about Wilson is you kind of see it a couple times a game. You'll see him throw 4 stupid passes and then you see 1 and you're just amazed. I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else. I think he needs good coaching. He needs to get a quarterback guru like a Sean Payton or a Bruce Arians if he's even going to be coaching. And he needs to find a coach like that who can really get him up to speed and to see the game better. But it's not looking good. But he's got the talent, no question.
Yeah, I agree with like what his mom said. If y'all saw that, like the Jets fan base is so toxic that no one can succeed there. And I mean, I think that's somewhat true. I mean, just from watching that game, like he couldn't do anything right. You know, everything he did, we got booed for. And you know, wasn't having a good game. But I don't think that if you're a young quarterback trying to make your way in the league, I don't think the New York Jets is the place to be.
I think that.
Unless you're Mike White.
Yeah, facts. But I feel like to kind of argue against that point, when you bag on your defense for giving up like 10 points, maybe 17 in a game that you put up 7, you are going to get shit on as a person. Like you are demonstrating that you're obviously young, you're going to make mistakes like that, but young quarterbacks show potential through composure like Brock.
Yep.
And through actually being like a leader. And you can be a strong leader by not being able to take the blame for a situation that is clearly your fault.
Mm-hmm.
So like obviously the kid's got thick skin, he's able to move on, but like he just isn't showing. Huh?
Does he have thick skin? His mom's like complaining and stuff. I don't know. I think I
haven't seen him like visibly mad or sad or anything that, you know.
No, but I'm a fan of him. But I don't know. Seems like he's a little bit soft.
I mean, I think he's the number 2 overall pick out of BYU. He's got a chip on his shoulder, you know. He's definitely cocky, which, you know, can be good, can be bad, but I think that if you put him on a team like San Francisco, that he would be doing pretty damn good.
You can put Austin in San Fran, and he's gonna throw 300 a game.
I don't think the Jets liked him to begin with, though, too much. They took him from number 2
the
overall,
locker room
and
did.
The next pick was Mike White. So I think they're hedging their bets pretty heavily there if their first 2 picks were quarterbacks. I mean, I'm sure in the second round they might add a pick and they pick somebody, but regardless, the first 3 rounds they had 2 quarterbacks taken. And clearly I think Mike White is the better quarterback right now than he is. And I think they were hedging it pretty heavily there.
Sam, what's your thoughts?
You guys know if it's the same regime or no? Who drafted him? My bad. Like, was it Silla who drafted Wilson?
No, whoever's their coach now, I forget his name. He wasn't there last year. Yeah, he wasn't there last year.
He was there last year. He just wasn't.
Head coach.
Saleh?
Was he the head coach last year?
Saleh, yeah.
I thought it was the Giants coach, whatever his name is.
No.
So he was
the Giants coach is who drafted him. Whatever his name is, I forget.
Brian Dable? No, Brian Dable was on the Bills.
What are you talking about?
He was on the Jets.
Brian Dable. He's the Giants coach.
I'm intrigued now that you say
that. He was the Bills OC.
He was on the Jets last year. If maybe the year before, but I'm pretty sure it was last year. Whoever head coaches the Giants, I don't know his name.
Brian Dable. He was from Buffalo. He was with Josh Allen.
Nah, it's Cap.
Promise you. Because everybody calls him like the quarterback guru. Because he Josh Allen, I don't know if you remember, he was pretty bad when he first came in the league.
Joe Douglas, head coach Robert Saleh, and Jets chairman spoke to Wilson as he was set. So Robert Saleh was there.
That's what Brian Dable on the Bills.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he was there last year.
He was.
Saleh, I'm just gonna let you know.
You want to see him?
Saleh was there before he was drafted.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Okay. Well, was he head coach though?
Yeah, he got the Niners lost him last year in the offseason. But yeah, going back to what I was asking to Sam prior to that, what's your thoughts on Zach Wilson? And do you think it's a situation issue? Do you think if it's a personal issue, a skill issue? What's your thoughts?
I mean, to be honest with you, from the get-go, I never believed Zach Wilson was going to be like that guy. Like that was the same draft class with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I from the get-go, I thought Justin Fields should have been the second quarterback taken on that board easy. I think Zach Wilson like tricked a lot of people in the combine making those ridiculous throws because like look, the kid has arm talent. That there's no doubt about that. But his ability to be able to read the field is just simply not there, and it never really has been there. Because a lot of the plays he made when he was at BYU were just, broken plays that he'd scramble out of the pocket and make a ridiculous throw downfield. It was never sitting in the pocket making a well-timed throw to a receiver in a small window. And that's the kind of throws you need to make in the NFL. That being said, 100%. I guarantee you he will get another shot somewhere in the NFL simply because he was the number 2 overall pick. Like, just because he was drafted so high, some team will give him a shot.
For sure.
That's a fair point.
Even if it's just a backup.
He's going to get shot until he's 35.
Exactly.
Just because he was a high pick.
I want to also point out that Sam is from Ohio, so you can sense.
I was about to say, I was like, sounds like an Ohio State fan.
Hey, okay. I may have a little bit of bias to Justin Fields. I may have been partying like crazy when he transferred from Georgia, but let's just look. It's been proven in the pros thus far. Justin Fields is the real fucking deal. All right, you can't deny that.
I can second that.
I agree. Not better than T-Law though. Sorry.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
I'm not a fan of Ohio State quarterbacks. I just think most of them don't pan out. But Fields seems to be the real deal. I don't know if he's going to be like an elite quarterback, but I think he's trending towards like top 10 in the next year or two.
Yep.
Can it last? That was my question.
I kind of want to segue this into a rookie quarterback that obviously is taken stardom this year, Brock Purdy. I wonder if I feel like a good kind of discussion is going to be what is that 49ers quarterback situation going to look like next year? And
oh boy,
that I feel like that's got to be something to be talked about. Like,
I feel like we texted about it one day, didn't we?
We did, but like you can only talk so much about it over the phone, but I feel like you can get much more of an engaging conversation when you actually speak face to face, and there's going to be a lot more to talk about now after even more of like another week's play.
I will say that night I had a couple of drinks, and I was seeing how many Jimmy G nicknames I could come up with.
I do recall that.
I was not focused on it. I think it was like 7 or 8.
There was way too many of those, to be completely honest with you. But anyhow,
I think
which was your favorite though? If you had to pick.
I'm not commenting.
I don't even honestly remember them. There's so many.
No? Okay.
I think they should trade Trey Lance, keep Garoppolo and Purdy, and I feel like that's something where they fight over the offseason. And I think you have 2 really good quarterbacks if either one falters, because I think Brock Purdy's had an amazing surge, but who knows? Next year it could fall apart. And then I think Garoppolo has had some ups and downs, and so he's been solid, but now he's hurt. Could have some ups and downs again, so they might see like a little bit just of a back and forth between the 2 of them. I think that's their best option.
I agree.
I feel like that's a bold take, just because like they have the talent to scheme around Trey Lance. They have the ability to run like a West Coast offense that they ran similar before Kyle Shanahan when they had Harbaugh, and run like with CMC out, with Debo out, with like I feel like they have so many weapons that they can run more of a West Coast offense. So selling on Trey Lance is kind of interesting, but I feel like what Brock Purdy has shown with his poise and confidence in such a young age is only going to develop, and he's done such a good job of being able to progress through reads. Like, it's only going to increase as he learns more about defenses. My issue is I feel like Brock Purdy lacks I don't want to say like the physical talent, but I don't think he has the arm strength that other quarterbacks has. He gives me like a Tua kind of vibe where like the ball is in the right spot, but he throws it like a soggy newspaper. Well, Tua,
I think he's better than Tua.
Tua throws
I think he's a solid NFL quarterback.
How are you defining Tua then?
After this last week, I thought he was quarterback 32 with the way he looked.
He looked good and bad. He just could not see a green jersey if it stood right in front of him.
I don't know. I haven't ever been a big fan of Tua to begin with. I don't think he is like such a solid quarterback. I think he like gets the job done in a lot of times, but like I don't think he's probably, you could argue he's a top 10 with like what he provides on the run game and everything like that. But like as a pocket passing quarterback, I think he's 25 in that rating.
Well, there's a way to stop Tua, and it's been proven. You just shut down the middle of the field. If you force him to throw outside of the numbers, he
Mhm.
struggles like fucking crazy.
Yeah. And I don't think he has arm strength. I think Purdy, beats him in a landslide with arm strength throwing to the outside part of the field.
Yeah.
That's why everyone's been beating him lately, is because they done figured him out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, another thing we were talking about is like, dude, if you follow that man's eyes, you're gonna get the football. Like we watched like 2 back-to-back picks. Like what's his name? Rasul Douglas literally dropped back off of Tyreek, and I don't even think he saw him his entire journey across to the football. Was that Jair? No, that wasn't Jair. I wasn't talking about Tyreek.
Wait, which one?
I'm talking about pick 3.
Oh, okay.
Where Rasul, I think it was Rasul Douglas.
Yeah,
who dropped back. And
it was.
Yeah, it like he ran the route better.
It was right to him.
Yeah, he ran the route better than Mike Gesicki, and I was like, bro, like he.
Yeah.
This is terrible. But like going back to why I was talking about Jair earlier, the ball was overthrown over Tyreek's head like 7 yards, and Jair's sitting here. He's like, oh fuck, oh shit, dude.
Well, listen to this, and I saw this on Twitter later. I didn't even know we had a concussion during the game. I don't think anybody really did.
Yeah.
As far as viewers go, but that first half, I thought we were toast. I mean, he threw like 260, 270 yards in the first half, and then he comes out and like not even like 3 or 4 minutes into that second half, he whaps his head, and throws 3 picks, or it was 3 or 4, right? 3. So I think that he was seeing ghosts.
Oh,
I think Waddle's touchdown run really helped his stats there in that first half.
Yeah, it's true.
For the pass, but I mean, he broke it off for, his speed ate up.
But that's what we've been saying all year. I mean, take Waddle and Tyreek from him and give him the Packers receiver core. Trash.
Shit, give him the Bears receiver core. That dude he'd only be seeing ghosts.
I think you can give him any of them besides like the top 3 wide receiver cores, and he would struggle.
And I want to touch on the Niner quarterback situation real quick.
Yeah, let's go back to the subject at hand.
Personally, what I would do is I think obviously like out of the 3, you got to get rid of at least one, and I think it's pretty obvious you got to get rid of Jimmy G, because you basically found Brock Purdy. I think at his floor is Jimmy Garoppolo. What is Jimmy Garoppolo? He distributes the ball, he plays point guard, and does his best to not turn over the ball. And he doesn't have a lot of upside. He's a middle of the pack quarterback. So that's kind of why you were keeping Garoppolo around in the first place. So I don't see the point of keeping him. But yeah, Trey Lance is a real talent. I don't know if he's ever going to be a superstar. So I'd at least keep him around and let Lance and Purdy go and fight for the spot. And maybe you don't trade Garoppolo until, the trade deadline next year. But I would definitely I'd get rid of Jimmy G. And then as far as Tua,
I don't think you can get rid of Mr. Consistent, man.
What was that?
Jimmy G is Mr. Consistent. Like Trey Lance, the 2 regular season games we saw from him there were nothing to sneeze at. I mean,
everybody said the 49ers are going to be terrible.
What is Brock Purdy? What is Brock Purdy?
What is Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy not Mr. I mean, he's at least a stable quarterback right now. I would say he's top 20.
I don't think he can gain the title Mr. Consistent yet. He's only played a few games. And
Jason, how would you
he's on a really good team.
How would you feel if you pushed Purdy to be your number 1 guy? I mean, he seems like he could just take off in a way right now. See how he goes through the playoffs. See how he handles that. But make him your number 1 guy and have Jimmy G still around, who's consistent, solid, and then be able to trade Trey Lance.
Jimmy G's got a lot of knowledge. He's been in the league for a break,
But here's the problem that I see. So the whole point, the Niners gave up a lot of draft capital to go and get Trey Lance because of his upside. Because he has a lot of talent, like Zach Wilson has too. but also potential is not production. And I look at a guy like Trey Lance, who has more upside than Jimmy G and Brock Purdy. It's just like, okay, why would I guess having Brock Purdy and Jimmy G is like having two of the same player. I think Jimmy G might be a little more consistent, but I think Brock Purdy is a little bit more athletic. And I think you keep one of them, and then I would keep Purdy because he's on his rookie deal, and I'd go and shop around Jimmy G. I don't see the point of getting rid of Lance because he still has an upside, even if he hasn't played well. And I don't think you name a starter yet. You let them battle it out in camp and in the preseason.
I mean, I think ultimately the
decisions. As far as Tua, he's garbage.
No, I think ultimately the decision when it comes to next year is going to come down to who's going to make the final call. Is it going to be Kyle Shanahan, or is it going to be the 49ers GM, who I think is still John Lynch, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, if John Lynch is the one making the call, Trey Lance will still be a 49er, and I think Jimmy G or Brock Purdy, coin toss it, will be out of there. If it was up to Kyle Shanahan, I think Trey Lance would get shipped off in a heartbeat because I don't think Kyle Shanahan has been a huge Trey Lance fan basically from the get-go.
I thought he wanted him. Did he not? I thought he was like the one that wanted to draft him.
I thought it was Lynch that wanted him. I'm pretty sure Kyle Shanahan was
Maybe.
like against the Trey Lance pick.
Okay, yeah, you might be right. I thought I don't know. Did Kyle want Justin maybe?
I think so.
There's a lot of rumors that he wanted Justin.
I'm pretty sure Kyle Shanahan wanted Justin Fields.
Yeah, he was a better prospect.
Right. Now, this all being said, let's we're thinking pretty far forward. We still have to address the elephant in the room this year. Jimmy Garoppolo still has a shot to come back this year. What happens if the 49ers are in the playoffs? Jimmy G comes back. Do they slot him in, or do they keep rocking with Brock Purdy?
You keep Purdy.
Yeah, if Brock keeps playing the way he is, then I don't see why you'd switch it up.
I feel like to kind of
go. There's a lot of continuity right now.
To go with why Sam's asking this, I feel like Jimmy opens up even more of the playbook, and so Brock is like doing well, but they're dumbing down the playbook for him, and so Jimmy G would be. I feel like
do we know
because
that?
he's.
Do we know that for sure? Or
they've discussed brief bits about how like the playbook is limited with him, but I feel like what Brock is doing, what Jimmy hasn't done in 3 years, is he's including a top 3 tight end in their offense, and like it's mind blowing how George Kittle, once one of the best receiving tight ends, is re-included. Their offense is booming again without Debo. It's like, so are they willing to risk Debo coming back?
They don't even have Debo now.
Debo's coming back,
crazy.
and he should be coming back by playoff time as well. And so let's just say Jimmy does come back. It's a toss-up. Do you end up going with a guy you know is reliable with Debo, with Brandon, with the running game, or do you go with a guy who's reinstituted your best tight end, who's doing well with the running backs, and probably will do well once Debo comes back as well? So it's like they're gonna. I mean, like obviously this is the reason why we're talking here and we're not wearing a suit discussing it with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, but that's gonna be a tough call to make. But I personally would rock with Brock. I think he's gonna have a high upside. The experience he's gonna get is gonna be like second to none, and he's got the composure to rock through the playoffs, and he doesn't make Jimmy G stupid ass throws. So like,
and you can fall back on Jimmy G if Purdy falls apart in the playoffs.
Exactly. Sam,
I do want to say Purdy's made a couple throws. Like he's had a handful of throws that have been picks but have been dropped.
The Seahawks.
So I still, and he had one I think against who was it, Miami? Threw it right to the guy who dropped it. So he's been getting a little bit lucky, and I don't think he's like as good as we think, but he's still been playing very well, especially for being the very last pick in the 7th round.
Mr. Irregular or Mr. Irrelevant, sorry.
Yeah.
Mr.
Irregular.
But yeah, going back to so Jimmy G is going to be a free agent at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think
so. I think there's no way they get rid of either Purdy or Lance. I think it's going to be either Jimmy or Lance. And just because, I mean, Brock's on such a cheap deal, he's not even getting paid $1 million this year, and he won't be for the next 2 years. So I think it's a no-brainer to keep him. I mean, he's cheap, he's good, and Lance, on the other hand, is expensive, and then Jimmy, on the other hand, needs an extension. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Rookie deal, right? They're both on their rookie deals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Lance is on a much way bigger deal.
That's facts.
He's probably getting like what, 5-6 a year?
Yeah, we're comparing the second pick to the last pick, so like that pick is gonna be extraneous.
But any first round pick, doesn't matter where you pick, you still don't get that much if you're on your rookie deal, And then you have the 5th-year option, so they have time. They don't have to. If they want, they can hold Lance and Purdy for the next 3 years.
If I had to guess, Lance is probably on like a 3-year, $20 million or something like that.
That's more. 4 years, $34 million.
Compared to, let's look up what Brock's contract is right now. Let's compare to that.
250,000
or something.
Like, this dude's getting paid.
No, I think it's like he's getting like $900K this year.
Bro,
it's like a three-year, $3 million.
4 years, 3.7.
Wow. This man's getting just barely above 900K.
Yeah, I said 800,000. Not too far off.
No, we're just
Austin.
Yeah. Huh.
Another quarterback topic I want to touch on real quick, if you don't mind. What do you do if you're Green Bay next year?
Bringing back the 4-time MVP. I mean, come on.
I mean, you want my personal opinion? I mean,
hold on, Fred.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is. I wouldn't say.
Jason's like, all right, I'm out.
I wouldn't.
No, I'm
say,
here. I'm here.
Yeah, he just has to reconnect.
I got you.
Aaron Rodgers is showing the ability to still be, I would say, elite, but it's just a matter of Jordan did well in his first game that he actually played.
Yeah.
I feel like it's time where you invest resources in him, especially when you guys have the receiving core that is banged up and injured. Romeo and Christian are going to be great, but they're just too young right now. I feel like you're kind of wasting away Aaron Rodgers' career at the end. And I feel like you're going to get more value out of keeping Jordan there. I'm sorry to say this, but your championship run time is over. I think you guys should be looking for a little bit of an investment for the future, and Jordan Love should be the guy you're slotting in. He's had time to kind of understand and develop behind Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, they aren't buddy, but nor were Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So I feel like if he's been doing well to kind of observe and kind of experiment behind, I think Jordan Love will show a lot of promise, and he might end up taking strides like Aaron Rodgers did. He won't be anything of comparison, but he might end up leading that team to success in 2 to 3 years' time with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. And hopefully you guys actually get another receiver in the future that's actually more of a vet that's not Alan Lazard.
You think Aaron finishes his career in Green Bay?
Who,
do you think he finishes his career in Green Bay? What do you think? What are your thoughts on trading?
If he can help it.
Yeah, he will. He'll finish his career in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he should be traded at all?
Much leverage. What?
Do you think he should be traded at all for something? Is there anything in your head that you'd be like,
I don't.
We could trade him.
How much are you really going to get for Rodgers? I mean, maybe a first-round pick and a third.
I'm not sure.
I mean, is
I
it
don't
really
know.
worth it?
Well,
yeah.
If you were going to trade him, if you were going to trade Rodgers, it should have been a year ago, and you could have got 3 first-round picks. I don't see that because he's coming off back-to-back MVPs, but I don't see the point right now in trading him. And I also heard he has a major cap penalty if you do trade him. It's close to $100 million.
Gotcha.
Which they can always the team that trades for him can eat a lot of that cap space or whatever, or the dead cap. But it's not going to be easy to trade Rodgers. And Jordan Love, God, I fucking froze again. Damn it.
No, you're fine.
Oh, my bad.
It came back.
I thought I was off. And Jordan Love, there's rumors right now saying that he told some Packer media guy in an interview that if he's not the starter next year, he wants out of Green Bay. But he doesn't really have that choice because he's still under his contract. So they can always bring him back, sign his 5th-year option, and he might have to sit for a 4th year. And I think that's the most likely scenario. But the problem is the way that Rodgers' contract is broken down is it was basically like 3 contracts in one last year. It was a 1-year deal, and then they would come back after this year, and it'd be a 2-year, and then after the 2-year, it'd be a 1-year. So if he signs back in this offseason, it's going to be for 2 years, not 1.
If he does.
Yep. I think the Packers need to not back down like they did on Devontae Adams and just keep both of them. You got the money. You got every means to do it. Just do it. I mean, don't get bullied into trading them away like you did with Devontae Adams. I mean, I don't see why you can't keep both. You can. You absolutely can. I mean, cry me a river, Jordan Love. I mean, I don't care. Sit on the bench and wait for your time. I mean, you're getting paid millions of dollars. Go cry about it.
That's such a Green Bay thing to say, bro. Just cry a river, bro. Sit on my bench.
Who was it that said Jordan Love, like, he showed in a game that he was really good? He completed 6 passes. Like, I know.
Didn't he have over 100 yards?
Yeah, he went 6 for 9, 113 and a touchdown, and the touchdown was on a slant route that Christian Watson took for 60. So he made really good throws that game, and I watched it. But like, this is like Brock Purdy, but a much smaller sample size. It's like, let's step on the brakes a little bit. I think if Jordan Love was like the guy, they would have traded Rodgers last year. I don't know. I think you know what you have in Rodgers. You put another weapon around him, like a good weapon, like a DJ Moore or a Terry McLaurin. Maybe they get someone like that in the offseason. And he's right back to being an MVP. So I don't see why you get rid of him. The team has a lot of potential. The offense right now, since week 10, they've been a top 5 offense. And that's backed up every step.
Rodgers, this is debatably Rodgers' worst year. And his worst year is better than 80% of the league's best year.
Still a top 10 quarterback.
Exactly. I mean, all this stuff that I see on ESPN and everything is
Bear
Rodgers
fans
done,
dream
blah,
of
blah,
that.
blah. Cry.
Okay, as nice it is to see Batman and Robin's little tandem going on here, I'm no longer interested in hearing the double team. So, Sam, I want your opinion on this, and then we'll move away. Jay, I'm done with hearing about your shit.
He wants Rodgers out of the league, out of the NFC. He never wants to see that guy again.
Yeah, the Bears fans are mad.
So many times.
I don't feel like listening to more of just a single topic from the both of you tandeming back and forth. I'd like to progress. So I would like to give it to Sam, let him have the floor for a moment, and then move on. My personal values and opinions don't matter.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, you roll with Rodgers until Rodgers decides to hang it up. I mean, you can try to hold on to Jordan Love for as long as you can, but I mean, Rodgers is what Rodgers is. He's going to be an elite quarterback pretty much until he can't walk anymore, because that dude's arm is just ridiculous. And another thing is that while they do need to get another weapon around him, another thing they need to do is just stay fucking healthy. Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson have barely played together. Like, at least one of them has been hurt almost the entirety of the year. So if you have a healthy receiving core around him with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in the backfield, I just don't see how they can just move off of Rodgers, off of literally half a game from Jordan Love.
Not even. It was a quarter. Not even a quarter.
Yeah.
Damn, I felt like I just got a third Packer fan jump out of the stands, bro.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast, Sam.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this guy.
All right, that was honestly a nice little 3 discussions that we kind of got through. So I think we should kind of shift our focus.
Right, wait, hold on. What about Cade? Cade knows something about Hall of Fame quarterbacks. His organization has one too, or had one. Unlike Chicago.
No, I think I was just proposing an interesting question out there for you guys. So I was just trying to see where you guys had felt on everything. And yeah, I mean, I think he should finish out his career there. So that's all I have to say. I think he's still good enough.
I mean, if he doesn't, I'm going to burn the world down. Just letting you know.
I told my dad if he goes to San Fran, I'm going to be a Niner fan.
That
I
feels
can't
like
do it.
kind of an unfortunate bandwagon because, like, don't get me
I
wrong,
can't
you
do
could
it,
be an
man.
Aaron Rodgers fan, but that team's just stacked at that point.
No, also I know. I'd have to root for Rodgers. That man would get like 3 more rings if he went to the Niners.
That's probably facts, honestly. That team's stacked to the core, and they get an elite quarterback. It's basically over for the rest of the league. But moving on.
Yeah, with that defense and shit, man.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
scary.
Oh,
Let's just
Roger might freaking put the veto stamp on that one.
Rodgers?
I hope he doesn't
Roger
think about
Goodell.
that
Yeah,
scenario.
Roger 100% would. That's some CP3, Kobe kind of ban right there. That can't happen. That's too
Oh, that'd
overpowered.
be the Patriots. That happened. That'd be the Patriots.
But anywho, moving on. Let's kind of talk a little bit about this upcoming week, and then we can kind of finish off with similar questions. But I'm gonna segue. I have most of the graph up, but I don't have Alex's on the waiver wire, or not on the waiver wire, on let's go again. The fantasy numbers for Boom and Bust. So I'm not really going to be showing that, but I will show the waiver wire from last week just because I won it. So but honestly, last week was a fairly decent week amongst all of us regarding the waiver wire. This was probably the first week where none of us had like completely shitty picks, where somebody went out and put up like less than like 5 points.
Put up a goose egg.
Yeah, like we didn't have like a me and Josh week where they just didn't play. But I'll show that. I'm going to share that on the screen in one moment. In the interim, we can watch Josh probably fiddle with something in his hands.
I got a seashell today.
Josh, I'm kind of intrigued on what is in arm's reach for you that you managed to always grab some random and like just some random object.
You should see my room, bro. It's just nothing but like Hot Wheels and comic books and football cards.
You don't have the JT card in there, right?
Jesus Christ, bro.
Yeah, I don't. Austin. Oh,
What happened?
I was about to say I thought you left, but it's just loading.
Nah, I'm here. Okay. Tell me when you guys can view this at like.
There you go.
Yeah.
Does Sam know about the JT card?
No.
I know nothing about this.
Jay, I'll let you say it because you were kind of the asshole that did the majority of the work there.
Yeah, so in the middle of our stream a few weeks ago, Josh was pretty preoccupied, and he was like trying to bid on a Jonathan Taylor rookie card. Was it, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wanted it pretty bad, and then I guess like he just missed it last second because of the stream. So we've been I've been giving him shit for it. Just, I'm gonna stop though because I'm gonna have to buy him one.
Yeah, I might cry.
I'm too. After he said you have everything except for that, I remember, I don't remember if this was the exact quote, but he said, we were talking about how Josh has everything, and then Jason added at the end, he was like, except for that Jonathan Taylor card, and he was like,
ouch.
It was tough. But
Just had to hang my head.
it was,
Don't do that.
if I actually hit up Griff, that 100% would have been quite the clip to have. But anyhow, referencing the waiver wire pickups from last week, I finished first. I was the top bar with Tyler Algier. He had 15.7 points. It seems like he's kind of become a majority back in that committee over Cordero, or he's finding more success than Cordero is. And then he finished 12th at his position. I don't know how Alex found that Jet McKinnon was at 50%. I'm not buying that. But Jerick McKinnon was at 50%, even though he had like 2 back-to-back weeks of 20 plus points, maybe even 30. He put up 12.8, 19th at running back, and that was second amongst us. Josh didn't have Zach Moss. Cade had Zach Moss. Zach Moss ended up putting up 8 points. I felt like he honestly did fairly well yesterday in that Colts game, but the fact that he had Nick Foles throwing the football ended up hindering his success, and Wilkins came in for way too much of the game too, which made no sense to me. But anyhow, he finished 34th at his position, which ended up third amongst us. And then last but not least, Romeo Dobbs. Again, not a terrible pick. He had 6.6. 53rd at his position, and that was 4th. And then the dude who's not applicable was Jay because he wasn't here last week. So moving on, I'm going to close this up, and then we're going to talk about this week's waiver wire. I just want to set aside, is everybody ready for waiver wire pickups this week, or should we start with something else?
Let me go last if you guys don't mind, because I deleted the fantasy app, so I got to do some research.
Take your time. I'll let Kate start
ready.
off. Then I'll go. Then Josh will go. Then I will go. Sam, and then Jay. We'll finish it off.
All right. So my waiver wire is Rashid Shaheed. I think Austin had him a couple weeks ago. Is that what was your waiver wire, or was it just a mention at some point?
I mentioned him last week in like the 4 guys I was talking about.
Gotcha. Okay. So he's my waiver wire officially for this week. I think he's rostered 47%, and he got some time with Olave, and who's the other one? I forget who the other one was
Michael
out.
Thomas is out. Jarvis Landry was out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the whole wide receiver core is out, so he got some good time, and he's continues to be like a very good like deep ball threat. He's got good speed, and like Austin, I think talked about him a little bit. As a rookie, he looks really good, so he could be a potential like flex play. I think with a continue of injuries in that Saints wide receiver core. So, and going up against Philly defense might be a little bit of a negative, but still, I think if there's not too many wide receivers playing, he's going to get his targets and could potentially have a good little pickup for you.
I kind of want to tag onto that and the fact of like a bunch of leagues that are still going to continue after this week, like keepers and dynasties. A guy like that is going to be a guy you can sneak deep into your bench who can end up probably popping off in the future. So I feel like that's really the appeal for waiver wire at this point in time. You're not really looking for, if you're in the championship game and you don't have depth at your flex, I'm amazed how you made it this far. So like it's definitely like a keeper and dynasty kind of reference. So I anticipate our waiver wires to be a bunch of young guys or filling in for voids. So Josh, take it
over. This week for my waiver wire, I got DJ Chark. We've had him, I think it was a couple of weeks ago we had him after he had that one big game. But he just came off another pretty good game. Didn't have a touchdown, but he had 108 yards on 4 catches. So, he catches bombs. So that's always a good thing. And he's playing Chicago, which is pretty bad defense. I've noticed that Chicago's been playing pretty good as far as the DBs go. They've been pretty solid, but I think that DJ Chark's wide receiver number 3 over there.
For
number 2, number 3
for the Lions, he should be their 2. He should be right behind Amon-Ra when he's healthy.
Yeah. So he may not get the better defensive backs on him. So, but anyways, I think he'll probably have 15 points if he gets a touchdown. I don't expect him to get another 100-yard game, but you never know. So I think he'd probably be a decent flex option.
Josh, how much is he rostered percentage wise?
What's that?
How much is he rostered?
30.9.
He's 30%.
He's 30, bro. I'm amazed. On Sleeper, he's 70. So that's why I say that. But,
that's crazy. Is there more positions that you can play in Sleeper or something?
Yeah, there's multiple double flexes, triple flexes.
Yeah, that's why.
Stuff like that.
3 wide receivers, or just so you have more room for other things.
But continuing the train, my waiver wire pickup is Isaiah Hodgins. You probably heard if you watched any of the Giants game. Yeah, he's kind of stepped on the scene, and it feels like he has a good connection with Danny Dimes. So he gets a lot of red zone targets. He's been getting a fair amount of receptions, and I feel like over the last couple of weeks he's been steady around the 10-point mark. So he's a guy.
And they're playing.
Who are the Giants playing this week?
They are playing Indianapolis.
I mean, he's not going to be taking Stephon Gilmore, so as long as you're not guarded, as long as you're not getting trailed by Stephon Gilmore, most of the time you're going to have success against that Colts secondary. It was showed through Keenan Allen yesterday. Sorry, Josh.
Mhm.
But I feel like Isaiah Hodgins is going to be a guy you can look forward to in the future.
Yeah, and they're playing meaningful games. Like they got stuff to play for,
So I was
like the
thinking
Packers.
facts. Sam?
All right. So my pick is Noah Fant. And there's quite a bit that's going to go into this. So, for starters, going against the Jets this week, the Jets defense is an interesting case. When you look at the last three matches that they've had this week, they've given up fairly large fantasy numbers to three different tight ends. Uh, Against the Vikings, or sorry, not the Vikings, against the Bills, Dawson Knox had a pretty decent game. Against the Lions, albeit it was a single catch for 53 yards and a touchdown, solid game. And then against the Jags last week, what's his name? Evan Ingram diced them up, 7 catches, 100 yards. And then also take into account that the Seahawks have placed Will Dissly on IR. Noah Fant has had 3 touchdowns in the past 4 weeks. And when it comes to the Jets defense, they have been locking down teams' top receivers the past few weeks. So Sauce Gardner's, I think, going to be basically covering TK almost the entirety of that game. And then also you have Tyler Lockett, who with a broken finger has potential to play, but if he is, we'll see how viable he's going to be. So all that taken into account, and in the fact that the tight end position has been pretty fucking shitty outside of Travis Kelce, I think this is a pretty viable pick. Also, I think he's only rostered in like 44% of teams. So there you go.
Quite the analysis. I think we need a
Yeah.
little more in-depth kind of thought
Plead his
process.
case.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think you made quite the case, Jay. You want to finish it up?
Yeah. So my waiver wire pick of the week is going to be rookie wide receiver, first round pick, Jahan Dotson. He's rostered right now for ESPN, 30.2% of league. And he's had 16 or more fantasy points in 3 consecutive games. Now, he's been injured a lot this year, but when he's been out there, I mean, he's a starter. And I think he's the wide receiver 2. Or a flex option. And the one thing I want to note is things might change if Carson Wentz is starting this week, and it sounds like he is going to be. But I don't think it's going to be too significant.
Oh yeah.
I like it.
So
I like Dotson. I think he's a good player.
he was a stud back when he was in
Mhm.
college as well. And I mean, last week against the Niners,
First round pick.
he was finding his way open. But moving on to kind of the boom and bust. Jay, do you have one ready and we can try to work in reverse order? Or
Do I have boom and bust ready?
yeah, or do you want us to work a similar way we worked last time?
Yeah, let's do similar way.
Okay. Okay, do you have a boom and bust ready?
Yeah. My boom is Mike Williams, projected 13 points going against pretty just, I think, average Rams. Total, like, defensive core there. I think Keenan Allen will get Ramsey for the most part. So I think Mike Williams could see a lot of opportunities as a wide receiver too. And so yeah, I think he goes for a touchdown. I think he easily beats that projection of 13 points. For my bust, I'm going to go Derrick Henry this week. I think he's projected 15.7 points on Sleeper, going against Dallas. And I think they rely on him a lot. So, and he's been, I think I was looking at like the reason he consistently puts solid points up is he does find the end zone at least once a game. So that helps him. So if he can stay out of the end zone for me this next week, I think I can predict the bust pretty well. I think the Titans offense is atrocious. And yeah, I think against Dallas, I think they'll have a tough time. So
I feel
I got
like,
mine ready if you want me to go.
yeah, before we get to you, Jay, I feel like the kind of compound on K's reasoning, Malik Willis being the starting quarterback, he's not going to be able to progress the ball against the Cowboys. And well, my second point is Derrick Henry has fumbled at least once in the last. I feel like he's fumbled twice or three times over the last 4 games, and I've witnessed all of them as as like a fantasy owner, and it's been really devastating. It feels like he gets ahead of steam, and he just coughs the ball up. But Jay, you can take over.
Okay, so I'm trying to find a statistic right now. Give me one. Okay, I got it. So my boom of the week is going to be Justin Jefferson. He's going against Green Bay, and their secondary, they get a lot of interceptions, but they cannot cover for squat because of the scheme they run. And I don't think Jefferson is going to be seeing Alexander one-on-one a lot. So when they played week 1, I know it was a while ago, he had 9 catches, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Josh, I know you watched that game, probably had more, or should have had more. And he seemed borderline like unstoppable, no matter what Green Bay tried to do. Well, they didn't try much, obviously. But so my boom of the week, Justin Jefferson. I think he's going to have like 28, 30 points in a loss. I don't think they're going to win the game because it's Kirk Cousins playing at, 4:15 Eastern. And I just think Green Bay is a better team right now. I think Minnesota's a little bit flawed. And then my bust of the week is going to be Austin's favorite, Josh Jacobs. He had, what did he have last week? 6 points?
6 points.
About. Yeah, do you know who he's playing this week?
The 49ers.
Yeah. So I'm taking him. I'm going to say he has 8 points or less.
I like it. My turn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a couple of running backs for my boom and bust. For my boom, I got Travis Etienne, and I mean, it's just because he's going up against the Texans. That's literally it. And the Jags are playing like they can't lose a game or they're out of contention. So I mean, I think they've you know, had their foot on the gas pedal, if you will. I think that Travis Etienne, he's projected 16. I think he'll go for more like 20, maybe 22, 25. And then for my bust, I got Kenneth Walker. I mean, dude has just been a dumpster fire these past few weeks. One of the reasons I have no fantasy teams in playoffs, if you ask me. But he's going up against the Jets, who are a pretty good run defense. Just a good defense in general. I think Kenneth Walker maybe gets 10 points, something like that, probably less.
Nice. I want to throw out there that I had both Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker as my bust, so I'm thankful that I chose 3 people. Going with my boom, I'm going with Amon-Ra. The Sun God himself is facing the most elite defense in a dome, the Bears, and the Lions have done a great job moving the ball through the air. Jalen Johnson is equivalent to Christian Watson, where he sees the field literally no time. So we don't have a solid secondary going for us, and I'm thinking that Amon-Ra goes out there, catches at least 10 balls, and goes for 120 and a tutty. So 28 points on my projection. And then for my bust, I'm going with Najee. Najee's going up against Baltimore. They've had one of the best run defenses this year. I want to say they've only given up about 4 yards per carry, which is 4th in the league. And what they've done a great job of is filling holes with them picking up Roquan. Him and Patrick Queen have done a great job of stuffing holes, and I feel like they're going to do a great job against the Steelers, since I don't think that their ability to attack the air is going to threaten them too much. But yeah, Sam,
Pretty good at stuffing holes, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Josh, thank you for reading into that.
So my boom for the week, if I have to pick one, it's going to be Dak Prescott. But in all reality, it could be just about any Cowboy you want to take on that team. Reason being is because they're playing the Titans this week. And the Tennessee Titans are playing a literal meaningless game. So regardless of the outcome this week for Tennessee, the division will be decided in next week against the Jags. So they can win or lose this game. So I just don't think they're going to be coming out firing. Also, I'm pretty sure I heard a report where there was a possibility that Derrick Henry might even sit in this game. So all more reason to just literally bet anything and everything Cowboys. And then my bust for the week is DK Metcalf. Similar to the argument I was making for Noah Fant earlier, I think Sauce Gardner is going to be covering him the majority of the game. I think it'll be easy for the Jets to be able to isolate Sauce on DK because of the injury to Tyler Lockett. And I don't know. Sauce has been a fucking stud this year. He's shown that he's able to lock up a lot of the top elite talent at the wide receiver position. So I don't think DK is going to have a great... right now. Yep.
That's
so I don't.
Horn.
So I don't think DK is going to have a very good game.
He is. Dude, he literally statistically is a top three. It's not even funny.
Sauce is on a whole another level than J.C. Horn. Sauce is like borderline Jalen Ramsey right now. J.C. Horn's like barely maybe cracking top 10.
Dude,
hasn't J.C. Horn only played like maybe 50% of the season too?
He's played a majority.
He missed a lot of games.
He's played a majority.
I thought he missed a lot of games. Okay.
But he's honestly, he has one of the lowest percentages in man coverage. He has like one of the lowest QBRs against him, and that's I say one of the lowest. He has the lowest against himself in man coverage, and that's why I'm like confused.
He's good.
No, he's elite.
But I still
like
I still have 10 guys that take over him.
That's because I swear, if you watch the Panthers play,
I'll name them in 10 seconds.
You can do that, knock yourself out. But statistically, this year he is doing better than a majority of the people you're going to say.
DJ Reed, Darius Slay.
We're naming
James Bradbury, Sauce Gardner,
Jets.
Jair Alexander, PS2. Who else do we have?
I don't know.
I'm forgetting names.
10 seconds have already gone by.
No. Okay, you know what? I'll think about it. I didn't
JC Horn solid.
Dude, he's elite, bro. He's
the dude from San Fran. Ward.
Is he a rookie this year?
Yeah, no, he's second year.
Who?
JC.
Second year.
JC got drafted last year, I believe. Or was it 2 years ago when they traded with
Gilmore.
the Cowboys?
Gilmore, that's 10.
All right, I'm done with this. I kind of want to move to quarterback situation with the Seahawks, because I feel like Geno Smith has kind of offered a thought on if the Seahawks quarterbacks are systematic or if they're actually like, if he's actually stepped into kind of a leadership role and become an elite, or not elite, but like he was doing well as a starter. But what's your guys' thoughts on Geno Smith's rise? Do you think it's because of the Seahawks, or do you think it's because he's figured things out?
Oh boy.
Because I feel like Russell Wilson plays a big indicator into the fact that it seems like it's more systematic than it is anything else.
I think Pete Carroll doesn't get the credit he deserves, and I think a lot of people blamed the problems, including myself in Seattle, on Pete Carroll instead of Russell Wilson. And I think Russ is getting way too much crap this year. I think he's a lot better than people are talking. People are talking about him being like the worst quarterback in the NFL. He's not that bad. Like Russell Wilson's he's not great this year, but he's not terrible. He's Russell Wilson. But I think Geno is, I mean, I'm not going to act like I've watched every Seahawks game, but what I have seen, I've seen flashes and moments where he's really good, and I think he beats up on bad teams. But when he has to face like a team like Kansas City last week, I mean, God, he looked like a scared puppy out there. He couldn't do anything. And to be fair, his protection on the O-line was terrible. But and Kenneth Walker wasn't doing much, so they became pretty one-dimensional. But I want a quarterback to elevate the offense. So if I'm Seattle, I'm not going to pay him like a top 10 quarterback. But I do think he's a top half quarterback in the league right now.
Yep.
Anybody wants to jump in throw out some comments.
I think
Yeah.
Russell Wilson has a chance to still be a great quarterback. I think they need to definitely, if it were me, I'd hire Sean Payton. But I think that he just needs to kind of get acquainted with the Broncos and their system, and have a decent coach. I won't say Hackett is a terrible coach, but I don't think he's
Fired.
head coach
He's
material.
terrible.
Yeah, he's former, so.
He's good for
I
an
think-
OC, but not for a head coach.
Yeah, that's why I don't think he's head coach material, but I don't know. I think Russell Wilson still has potential to be a top 10 quarterback, but this year has just been a dumpster fire for that team as a whole. I mean, the defense is doing great, but the whole offense, I mean, the O line's been terrible. I mean, they've had a lot of injuries on who is it? Their running back. What's his name?
Javante.
Yeah, there you go. That really hurt him. I think they got no run game whatsoever, so they have to pass it all the time, and it's been a lot of pressure on
We're talking about-
Russell Wilson.
My bad. Would you pay Gino? I guess that was like the question.
He just wanted to talk about how Russell Wilson's doing, which I kind of talked about briefly, so I understand why he kind of went down that alleyway. But
No, I did it too. You kind of
As
have
far
to,
as- I think Gino. I think they got the number 2 pick this year.
I think
Number
they
two?
got an extremely high pick because of the Broncos.
Yeah,
How did they get number 2?
They didn't get the number 2,
from
but
Denver.
they
From the
got
Broncos.
Denver's pick.
I think it's like 3 or something.
Oh,
I don't know.
Denver's screwed. They don't even have a draft pick in the first round.
Yeah.
They got a
Wow,
really high
that's
draft pick,
terrible.
anyways. I think they will take a quarterback, and they'll probably play Gino until he starts playing terrible, which I think will happen around maybe mid-season next year, and then they'll play whoever they get, whether it be Levi or Bryce Young or whatever. But I don't think Gino's bad. I
Yeah.
just think that he's not the kind of guy that's going to bring them a Super Bowl. That's for sure.
You guys know who the number 1 rookie prospect is right now? It's not Young and it's not Stroud.
Is it William Anderson?
Levi. It's
Nope,
Levi.
it's
isn't it?
Will Levis. Mel Kiper came out with his mock draft today, and he has Will Levis as the number 1 quarterback.
Is that
And Mel
Kentucky?
Kiper is usually like,
Kentucky, yeah.
yeah,
Kentucky.
apparently he's going to be the top quarterback.
I personally
No,
would
it's
take
true.
Hendon Hooker with no ACL over him, but like
Honestly,
I didn't
dude,
think
people
Hooker was
sleep
that
on
great.
him. People sleep on Hendon Hooker. He's a beast.
dude, he does such a good job progressing through reads at such a young
I
age.
can't believe he
feel like
wasn't considered for Heisman. I mean, that just blows
Okay,
my
have you
mind.
watched
injury.
one Kentucky game, Austin?
Oh hell no.
Yeah,
Okay,
I haven't either.
I haven't either, so I can't say anything.
Why would I watch if
Yeah.
Kentucky fell
I have
apart
no
after they
idea.
were 3-0? I was no longer interested in watching Kentucky after that.
I like Bo Nix, but apparently he's going back to Oregon another year.
Yeah, Bo Nix is gonna be that
flat
guy.
out Garbage.
Bo Nix is
No,
a real deal.
he's gonna be that guy. He's gonna be that
he's-
guy.
He's one of Jordan Palmer's guys, and every Jordan Palmer quarterback besides Sam Darnold seems to be a superstar. So, but he said Bo Nix is like the real deal.
Bo Nix is for real.
I just
Sam,
And
what's
he
your
don't
looks
think,
like Herbert.
I
in
just
that-
don't think Bo
in that
Nix is an
10
NFL
jersey or
quarterback.
whatever.
I agree. I completely agree.
Y'all
I
gonna
think-
see. Y'all
I think
gonna
he's-
see.
I think he's a college quarterback with a really good scheme throwing to wide open receivers. And I think when you throw him into the NFL, forcing him to throw into tight windows in a
Who?
collapsing pocket, Bo Nix.
Okay.
When you force that to happen in the NFL like it's going to happen, he is going to crumble.
He reminds
How
me.
was he at Auburn? Wasn't he pretty good?
No.
Yeah, he was mid at
Okay.
best.
I don't know much. I've just seen some clips, and he looked pretty. He looked good. I mean, I
look,
know his touchdown interception ratio was pretty good this year.
it
And that's
is.
like
It
what I'm
is.
looking for.
It is, but he's also throwing to wide open receivers with basically no pass rush coming at him just because that's just how Oregon is.
Well, and the Pac-12's garbage.
Exactly.
I like Bryce Young. That's what I like. And then I think Bryce Young, he reminds me of like a Russell Wilson, like a young Russell Wilson. Just the way he's very calm in the pocket. He gets out of the pocket well, makes all the throws. He's just a little bit undersized. He's like 5'11", 185 pounds, but
Yeah, I was about to say,
He's
I'm
got all the
probably
tools.
fatter than him.
I worry about where Bryce Young ends up. If he goes to Houston, man, I think his career is going to end very, very quickly because they're simply not going to be able to protect him, and he's not going to be able to take the hits in the NFL.
Also, I've actually thrown a Bryce Young before, and it was like a training thing with a bunch of guys. You would not notice him, like he's just a normal looking dude. He's like 5'10", 5'11". You'd never see him in a crowd. He doesn't stand out.
He's not like Justin Herbert, 6'6", fucking 250.
Yeah. Josh
Bryce
Allen.
can swing it. Bryce can swing it.
But I feel like that's a great segue to talk about in rookie quarterbacks. I don't know how we kind of segue away from the Seahawks and we talked about rookie quarterbacks, and I feel like that's going to be kind of a great concept because as a Bears fan, we're currently the number 2 pick, and there's a lot of teams that are out there looking for for quarterbacks. And so I was just thinking, do you know what team's going to be aggressive trying to steal that second pick? Who do you think it's going to be? Because the Seahawks are a great contender. Obviously, Houston has the 1 pick, and they should be looking for a quarterback. But what other teams do you think are viable
Carolina?
options? Yeah, Carolina. Do you think Denver tries to make an aggressive play?
No, I think Denver, they're locked in that contract.
They got way too much invested.
You have to. You got to die with Wilson, or you got to stick with him as long as you. I mean, as soon as they move off of him, they're screwed. You have no draft capital. You have no money. God, Denver might be the worst situation right now in the league, assuming Wilson doesn't end up panning out.
This might be my
John Elway is a bozo.
This might be my personal bias because I'm a Colts fan and I might just be hoping for this, but I think the Colts can make a play to be able to try to trade up to be able to get a quarterback. Because currently I think the Colts are sitting at either 4 or 5, so it wouldn't have to be an outrageous trade to be able to trade up to 2 to be able to guarantee one of the top 2 quarterbacks.
Who would you want? I'm guessing Stroud.
I mean, here's the thing. I actually don't believe a lot in Stroud or Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is too undersized, and I think Stroud, when he has pressure in his face, has shown that he kind of starts to crumble a little bit. I'm not fully sold on Stroud as a leader either. I know other Buckeye fans are gonna fucking kill me for that, but I've seen Stroud throw pity parties when he's down. And he's not going to be winning. He's not going to be losing 1 game a year like he does at Ohio State. So I think if he gets into the right system, I think he could thrive. But I'm not fully sold. But if I had to choose one or the other, I would take Stroud.
But who would you be taking? Because realistically, it's not like the quarterback conversation is limited to just those 2. Like you could definitely.
Or do you take another position?
Well, that's what I'm saying is that if the Colts trade up to 2, I think Houston's pretty much sold on Bryce Young, at least from what I've heard. I think the Colts would just take Stroud, and I'd be content with that. If we sit back at like 4 or 5, I think it'd be stupid not to either get Will Anderson or Jalen Carter if either of those 2 fall to us.
Oh, Will Anderson ain't falling to you guys. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. He's coming to Chicago.
Look, man, I've been hearing all this hype that Jalen Carter is now going to be the top defensive pick off the board. And it's not outrageous to say that you could see 3 quarterbacks taken in the top 3.
Jalen Carter is the safety, right?
No,
Jalen Carter's the
defensive tackle at Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Georgia.
So
he's a fucking monster.
Why would you take a D tackle though over the guy from Bama?
Will Anderson.
Yeah, I would take an edge over a D tackle all day. Will Anderson looks like Khalil Mack. That's what I would take.
What if that D tackle ended up being the next Aaron Donald?
Hey, that's what Carter's drawing.
Aaron Donald's a very rare occurrence. It's like edge is more important than D tackle. Austin knows it.
That's facts.
He always talks about edge is
monster.
arguably the top 2 to 3 most important position in football. D tackles, I don't even know if it's in the top 10.
You got to debate that because you can say the Giants' success is all attributed to the fact that they have the top defensive tackle in the league. Like it's
who?
The Giants.
Oh, Dexter.
Yeah, same with Dolphins. The
Yeah,
reason why their
he's
defense
having a
actually is
crazy game.
doing stuff is because of Wilkins. So it's like their defensive tackle is making a bigger impressive stamp than Bradley
Oh,
Chubb
it
and
matters.
Kayvon
It
Thibodeau.
matters.
Shuts
So
down
let
the
me
run
ask
game
you
too.
this:
Another one
would
is
you rather
Cincinnati
have-
and DJ Reader.
Okay, but would you if you were starting a team, would you rather have Dexter Lawrence or would you rather have Nick Bosa?
Oh,
Or
that's
Miles
tough because
Garrett,
that's
you know?
DPOY right there. That's like if you said
I'm
Aaron Donald
taking-
or Nick
okay.
Bosa, then I could have like
Chris Jones or Nick Bosa? Chris Jones or Nick Bosa?
Chris Jones is a fucking monster, bro.
But Nick
Nick
Bosa's
Bosa's-
like game record. You know, I'm taking edge.
DT
Personally.
does such a good
Unless
job
you
in
have
the
a guy
run
like
and the
Nick
pass,
Donald.
though. Like, I feel like you have to take that into consideration. Like, if you have an elite defensive tackle, the amount of run that you stop up the middle is absurd. Like, that's why.
A lot of goal line stuff, no
Yeah.
QB sneaks, stuff like that.
But quarterbacks, I'll tell you, most quarterbacks prefer to go against an elite D tackle than an elite edge guy because the D tackles tend to not be super fast and they can roll out of the pocket. If you have an elite edge guy, I mean, you see even like look at Brady the other night. He was going against, if I want to say JJ Watt, and he kept looking. They're saying he was getting the ball out of his hand as soon as he caught the snap because he kept looking over at Watt every play. And I think a D tackle, it's a lot easier to like double team those guys.
You can
know,
still
I don't know.
chip.
I would rather have an edge.
You can still chip
What?
the edge. You can still, like, there's always a lot of schemes you can do on the edge. You can run games that obviously
It
the
is
end's going
tough.
to run. But it's like,
I think it's one of those things that you just can't go wrong on. Like
That's-
if you have an A plus edge and an A plus defensive tackle, I mean, they
Yeah.
kind of
You remember how
even out.
Matt changed the Bears defense?
Yeah, but they also had what's his name, Akeem Hicks. So they had
I
a
was about
great
to
run
say.
stuff up
Yeah,
the
but
middle.
they were not going to be without Mac. They were not going to be that level. Not even close.
I completely agree. But let's look
Yeah,
at let's look at what Leonard Floyd, who went from that Bears team to the Rams team, and the reason why he had so much success is because Aaron Donald was taking so much pressure up the front, and so it's like you can, as we're talking, you could take either or,
That's
but I
fair.
feel like the run game relies heavy on what the defensive tackle can do. Edge rush allows so much in the pass game, and so it's like, what do you value more, air raid, or do you value stuffing the run? And that's where it's like,
I mean, at the end of the day, we're splitting hairs. I mean, when we're talking
Mhm.
about Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, you can't go wrong with either pick. So it really
Right.
doesn't matter.
which is funny that we've made it back to actually what we were talking about. We just went on a tangent about the top at the positions.
That's what we do. That we should name the podcast The Tangent.
The tangent.
Wait, real quick. Is this going to turn into football instead of fantasy in a week when fantasy's over?
Yeah,
Or is it going to be just
100%.
sports in general?
100%.
Okay.
We're going to talk about just football.
Cool.
Because I feel like this is a great segue to kind of get
Fantasy
into
gets
it.
old. You know?
Yeah, we're like, we're going to obviously talk about fantasy, and we're going to talk about next week. I feel like we should talk about like we're going to have to talk about players who came out of the dark horses this year. We're going to have to talk about the people who kind of flopped this year. And then we're going to have to, I feel like we should have a year up summary next week. I feel like that should be a good way to kind of talk about this year. We could do like a tier list of notable
Yeah,
players.
end of the year tier list.
Yeah. And I mean,
And I think we should kind of talk about like what we should do because I want to start a dynasty with everyone in here and some other people as well, just because we need more people.
Mhm.
But who to get, not necessarily who to draft next year, but who to be like looking out for if you have a dynasty team and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% down for that. And obviously, Sam, I'll extend this invite to you since Dak is gone. We could I'm good with having 6 people in the pod. So if you want to join from here on out, you're free to do so.
You guys just record like Tuesdays, right?
Yeah, we record Tuesday nights around 8:30, sometimes 9. So
Fuck it, I'm in.
Cool.
yeah, because like
Welcome
obviously
aboard.
you are a great guest, and I feel like you bring another perspective that it kind of allows us to vary, and then you have a connection with me and Alex, so it'll add banter that way too when he shows up. So
Oh yeah, love that.
yeah, so I feel like that'll be a good avenue. But also, we need to get you an ability to blur your background because the people would like to see your face.
Yeah.
What is he? What's in his room? Just a bunch of
A
Playboy posters.
lot of fat anime titties.
Is there any way that you could just take those 2 photos off the wall?
Yeah, I could just literally, because it's literally just 2, because there's a bunch of posters in the background.
Yeah,
but it's
but
only,
only
2
those
that
2
are
in the
like,
top right corner that I saw.
uh-huh. I can just take those down when we record.
Yeah, but
You could also just hit the like blur the background button.
It doesn't
have
work.
it. His
Gotcha.
computer doesn't have the capability to do so.
My laptop's just too fucking old.
But I feel like,
Understandable.
do we have any other topics that we can kind of talk about? I feel like I've thrown out a handful
I
today.
kind of wanted to ask y'all what y'all think about Josh Norman coming back.
Josh?
Oh, it's nothing. It's just a story. No, it's a bunch of BS. He's not a good corner. They're trying to like rejuvenate his career because he was a 1-year wonder in Carolina.
He's a fan favorite, you know.
I don't want to give him any sort of credence and talk about him. I'd say we talk about playoffs and draft.
I love that.
Okay,
Just
okay, Sergeant Pobans.
I'm just feeling I don't like Josh Norman. I never have. Odell, when he walked over him, was the greatest thing.
He's a cocky son of a bitch.
They're both cocky sons of bitches.
What about Odell? You guys want to talk about that? Would you sign him? What would you do?
No, yeah, he doesn't deserve our time either. He's dead to me.
I mean, the motherfucker's not even like healthy enough to be able to step on the field. That was the reports that like his ACL is not even going to be good enough to go until like mid-January. So what's the point?
Hey, they can make a playoff run. Don't shout. Don't count out the Panthers.
The dude was unconscious on an airplane, and like that was like a month ago at LAX, and he got kicked off. And I don't think there's enough talk of that.
Who are we talking about? Odell?
Odell.
Yeah, I
The
remember
video,
seeing that.
They're like his eyes were like twitching, and he was like going in and out of consciousness.
Jesus.
He was on that 30.
Yeah, 100%. Man's trying to recover.
I watched it.
He's trying to recover from that injury through the perks and through the lean, bro. So he was on a different planet at that point.
He was on some Juice World stuff.
Yeah, but let's also throw out that this is obviously satire. We're not trying to demean and or get brought down because we've made up an assumption amongst what happened to Odell.
Yeah, Odell can come on the podcast and talk about it.
Josh is gonna reach out personally.
I'll DM.
Cade, reach out to Trenton Irwin. Try to reach out to your uncle.
Let me see if I can get a connection going there.
Yeah, try to build.
Cool.
That'd be sick. Like we could.
Yeah, that would be
Hey,
cool.
Mark,
What do you say?
to get Joe Burrow too while you're at it.
Yeah, I'll just get the whole Bengals squad going.
I'll try to build a connection with some future Buckeye who's gonna be like a fucking 5-star athlete. Get him on there and then just slowly network through him.
Marvin Harrison, if you want to go,
Yeah, he should
try to
be.
get him before.
He should be in some of my classes in the future for business, so I'll try to get him on the pod.
Would you even have the balls to go up to him and talk to him? I feel like you'd say some stupid shit.
100%. He'd either really fuck with me or he'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about, bro?"
That's funny.
I'd be like, I don't even know how to start a conversation with Marvin Harrison though. It'd probably be the stupidest shit though.
You say yo. Every conversation you say yo.
That's how I
But
describe.
I don't know what I would say to Marvin Harrison. Probably nothing.
You just be like, yo, so you play football. Tell me about that. What's it like?
That's terrible.
Yo, you.
Apple during every game. You see that?
He does.
Yeah, he wears an Apple Watch.
I'll throw that out to him and be like, "Yo, what kind of drip
You
you
got that
rocking on your
swagger.
wrist right there?"
Probably got an AirPods too under his helmet.
You know he doesn't have those, Josh?
A W on his helmet.
What?
A W on his helmet.
Jonathan Taylor card.
Oh no.
Oh, he doesn't have a Jonathan Taylor card.
No,
All right, I'm leaving.
But okay.
Nah, but Jay, you sounded like you came back to say something meaningful before you completely shut down Josh's idea. So.
No, I was just gonna say it's actually pretty intriguing, like to see where Marvin Harrison's gonna go, where Jackson, what's his name, Jackson Smith, Najuba, whatever.
Yeah.
There's some other guys. Who's the guy? I think his name's like Hyatt from Tennessee.
Yeah,
Last
he's
name's Hyatt.
good.
I don't know. There's some. The last few receiving classes seem to be like they've been insane. You know, the 2021 had. Or no, I'm thinking 2020 was who was in that class? It was like
Justin
Judy,
Jefferson, Jamar Chase.
Michael
Jamar
Pittman,
was the
T.
year
Higgins.
after, but yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Jefferson.
Jamar was 21. Yeah.
Jalen, Monte Smith.
Higgins, right?
Yeah, that was
This last seems
year.
to be pretty good. Chris Olave. No, I'm saying this last year, like in April. Chris Olave. Dotson seems to be his own. Christian Watson.
Garrett Wilson.
Romeo Dobbs. Garrett Wilson. Jameson Williams, we don't know what he's going to be yet. And Treylon Burks is pretty good. So, yeah, receiving Cade, you good?
Cade's dying from whatever he's hearing in his background. So, we're just gonna.
Yeah, my girlfriend is just on one right now, trying to get me to end this thing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Is she on a perk 30?
Yeah, let's let this.
Is she on the same
What's
shit that
that?
Mel was on?
No.
This is in. Cade's girl is off of a perk 30 right now.
Freaking this.
Nah, I think that she wishes Cade was on one right now. She wants Cade to have some stamina.
Jesus, Josh, this is a family-friendly stream. God damn it.
Yeah. Sorry, kids.
I'm gonna send that clip to Griff.
Hey, Sam, you have any ideas on NFL topics? I still think we talk playoffs. That's kind of a big one coming up.
I mean, definitely playoff seeding. I mean, that's pretty much it because that's at the forefront right now.
Yeah, if we're talking relevant to the NFL, I mean, the only thing you could talk about is injuries. What's going to happen in the playoffs, possible mock drafts, and then season-ending wrap-ups. I feel like that's kind of like the main things to talk about in the future. But is there any other topics we should kind of talk about today before we wrap this up? Is anything kind of like apparent on anybody's mind, or?
Well, we could talk about the potential for Tua and what we think should happen with his whole situation with the concussion.
Another year. That's what I would do.
But they're in playoff
He
contention.
should be. But yeah, I was about to say, if they take him out, their playoff hopes are done.
Well, they're already done. They're like, what, 87? They're
Yeah.
pretty much out of it.
They're still
No,
in.
they're still
We're
seven.
still a 7 seed.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Okay, then. But he's going to miss this game, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Miami, there's got to be some weird shit going on in Miami because, what is that, like 3 concussions now that have been like undiagnosed or misdiagnosed? And I mean, I feel like Tua is part of the problem too. He's probably keeping himself in the game when he shouldn't. But man, those guys on the sideline, they're supposed to be like hawks looking out for symptoms, you know?
Do you think Tua can actually see straight anymore at this point from taking so much brain damage in a matter of a year?
Well, that's
short time. Man.
That's what I'm worried about is that, like, I know Tua, just knowing the competitor he is, he'll want to play no matter what. But someone needs to come in and step in and be like, Tua, he needs to just be shut down for the year. Because if he has any concussion-like symptoms this week, there's no reason he should be playing the rest of the year. Because it literally will take one more hit for that man to literally lose all cognitive brain function. And that's just it's not worth taking that risk. Like, I know you want to be on the field, I know you want to win, I know you want to do it for your teammates or whatever. But god damn it, dude, like you get someone's got to put his life first.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
I heard RG3 talking about it, and he's like talking about how like it changes just like your character and everything too. Like, you know, all these dudes get so much CTE and then they go home and beat their wife, you know, and that's the last thing you want from, I mean, an NFL, last thing you want from any person, much less an NFL player or something. But I think, yeah, I mean, and it could potentially be like deadly, you know, like if he takes another big hit to the dome, he could literally like, I mean, it's possible you die. It really is.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we already saw one example of him literally having to get carted off the field and losing all motor functions. And I thought
his freaking hands like this, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I thought his year should have been done after that, and now he's taking more shots to the head after that. It's like what are we doing here?
I have a question for you guys. Unless you want to keep talking about Tua, but what is your opinion on the hit last night in the rules that Derwin James, I believe it was on Dillon, receiver for the Colts? What is your guys' opinion on that? I think like the replay showed he actually went for his shoulder, and I think he like hit the pad, and anybody like shoulder pads, the way you hit them, they like go up when you hit them. So I think that's why he ended up hitting him helmet to helmet. But what are your guys' thoughts on the rule and if it was a dirty hit or not?
I have two statements that I'll let Sam start off and then I'll follow him.
I mean, I don't think it was a dirty hit per se, but I do think he did lead with the crown of the helmet. So I think it was the right call to be called for targeting. I don't know. I don't think he meant any like true harm by it.
I completely agree with that. That was exactly the point I was going to make. It kind of compounds off of him getting a personal foul, literally a play or two right before, and then him coming back and just laying him out. And yeah, he led with his crown. If he led with his shoulder, it wouldn't have been a problem. But he just came in and it looked like he speared a dude.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, damn. But I was like, that was a pretty sick hit to watch, like in real time. Mm-hmm. But for Doolin's safety and for the safety of receivers in the future, taking a hit that high from a dude leading with his crown of his helmet is not acceptable. And
not only the safety of the receivers, the safety of Derwin James himself.
True.
Dude can break his fucking neck trying to lead with the crown of his helmet like that.
And it was just like, it was kind of a terrifying thing to see afterwards, after watching it in slow motion. But it reminded me of like a Sean Taylor, Brian Dawkins we were talking about a little bit in the group chat. It's like one of those big hits that are like now just vanished. And we got to witness something of that caliber last night. So it's something about like that caliber of football is still fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Kay, do you want to go or you want me to take over?
You can go. I honestly wasn't even watching last night, so I didn't even see the hit. I was too busy with other things.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. My personal opinion, when I first saw the hit, I thought it was disgusting. Just because, I mean, if you see it in fast motion, it looks like straight helmet to helmet, like he was trying to kill the guy. But if you watch the replay, I think Josh brought it up in the chat. He was actually going for his shoulder. He shouldn't have led with his head though, and I don't think it was like as aggressive as it initially looked. But I don't know. I still don't like. I know a lot of people will call it soft. I don't like all the targeting and these big hits and hitting above the neck area. I just don't think it's
because you're a wide receiver.
Like, no, and like I said, it's agreed. But it's cool for us to like watch it on TV. But you gotta understand, these guys have like lives. They have lives outside of football, and there's been too many guys that have had neck injuries and guys like Ryan Shazier. I mean, literally, dude's like almost paralyzed. You know, at least he can like walk now. But I just don't think it's. I don't like it. I don't personally like it. And Derwin's hit, I thought was okay, besides like leading with the helmet. But the other big thing is, at the end of the day, the NFL is about making money. And if you have guys, especially star players, who are not playing because they're injured, they lose TV ratings, and that's why you see so many of these referees like throwing flags over these dumb roughing the quarterback penalties. That, you know, I mean, look, who was it? Chris Jones when he sacked Brady. I mean, that was such an aggressive sack. He barely touched him. But yeah, so yes, I'm not a huge fan of the people calling it soft. It's like, okay, why don't you go out there and run a route and try to get hit by Derwin? I can't speak. Derwin James right in the freaking side of the helmet.
I think
I could take it. No problem.
I think we would die. Josh, I'm going to clip that.
Nah.
Send it to Derwin. And I think he would hit you so far. I think you would
Derwin,
actually
come
get
see me.
thrown from the 10-yard line to the end zone. Like, you would actually get tossed like a rag doll.
I'll put on that Packers helmet right there, and I'll run some routes on him, and I'll moss him.
That thing
I'll straight moss him.
Just putting that thing on will give you CTE.
Putting that thing on, you'll probably drop the ball. So like,
Yeah, it won't even go over my eyes, honestly.
All right, wait, real quick. Who are you guys taking? In a one-on-one? Josh versus Derwin James, and it's like an Oklahoma drill. But on the other end, behind Derwin, is the JT card.
Josh. Josh wins.
I'm taking me, bro.
I'm taking Josh.
I can't wait to watch Derwin stuff you so far into the ground. We thought you would have a casket, bro. Like,
nah, bro. I'm gonna put one hand, my left hand on top of his helmet, and I'm gonna reach up and I'm gonna moss that sucker, and then I'm gonna be walking in the end zone like this right here.
Austin, this is an Oklahoma drill. You have the ball, and you have to get by him.
What's that? Sorry.
It's an Oklahoma drill, meaning you have the ball in your hand, and you have to go.
Oh, so we're just running at each other. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
He's running at you, and you're trying to get by him.
Oh well, then I'm just gonna take. I'm gonna take his socks. I mean, he's gonna get out of his shoes. I'm gonna take his socks, and I'm gonna go.
Josh has got the meanest juke in the game right now.
Like you guys are gonna have to find another co-host as well. So
Derwin body slam Travis Kelce. I can only imagine how far Josh will get slammed into the ground.
Yo, this is Josh trying to get the JT.
I don't give a damn if Josh is reaching for like $1 billion on the other end, bro. Derwin James is putting him so far in the soil, it's not even funny.
Yeah, it's gonna make some seismic activity.
You're gonna literally root no more grass from how deep you're gonna go in, bro.
I'll be alright.
You won't. You and Andrew Luck will be retired after that play.
Oh, ouch. Still not over it.
Dude, with your QB situation, I would never be over it.
Oh.
Ellinger's the truth, man. I'm telling you.
The fuck he is. Ellinger's closer to the problem than he's the solution. But yeah, I think this is a good time to wrap this up. Give it a little foreshadow for next week. We're going to talk about playoffs. Hopefully we'll talk about Sam winning a championship. Nobody else here other than maybe me winning a championship as well.
Because you're in 1,000 leagues. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of envy and jealousy, more so than a man who got knocked out in both of his leagues. So. But it happens.
Yeah, both. You're in like 12.
5, but anyway.
Of course you're going to win one. I mean, I would hope so.
Anywho. Yeah, we'll talk about the playoffs next week. We'll do a little wrap up of the season, get everything prepared, get a little tier list going, and then Sam will be a familiar face, and we'll move on from there. So it was a pleasure. Glad we could all stop in. Other than Alex, I want to throw out that Alex actually did do some picks this week. His waiver wire pickup was Trent Irwin. His boom was Devontae Adams, and his bust was James Conner. So if anybody was curious about what Alex's thought process was, since he does seem to be fairly consistent with his boom and bust, that was his picks of this week. But yeah, it was a pleasure. I'll see you boys next week, and hopefully we're able to get some viewership from some quality clips that we made this week.
We're bringing Sam back. I feel like he